the channel, or welcome to the channel. Today we are building a LA style apartment based off of an apartment building in GTA 5. So I've been wanting to build an apartment like this for a while now because I got really into GTA 5 like a year ago. My boyfriend and I used to play it together all the time because, I don't know, we didn't have anything else to play, so we both got really into it. But it's not like a game where you can do much unless you're really into role playing. But yeah, I had an apartment in that game that I wanted to recreate, and I tried doing it a couple times, but I couldn't make it work. So I ended up finding an apartment building that is in the main campaign. It's Floyd's apartment, and that's what I'm recreating today. So this is also probably one of the quickest builds I've ever done. Somehow this video is still an hour long. Don't ask me how I managed to make that happen every single time. I don't know. But this build took me maybe, I think, like 6 hours. Usually they take me like probably, I think the last build I did had like 23 hours worth of footage, and that was an absolute that was an absolute nightmare to edit down. But this one was pretty short, and that was nice. So yeah, this is like an LA style apartment. It is sort of similar to something that I found out, by the way, sort of similar to something called a dingbat apartment. If you don't know what that is, Google it really quick. When I found out that those things had a name, it made my day. Because first of all, like, what is that name? Dingbat apartment, dingbat style apartment. But what was even better about it was the outrage I found from like journalists or like people working in architecture who were just complaining in these articles about how dingbat apartments are an architectural nightmare. And I was like, you know what? I love when this happens to me, because these are always the things I love the most. Like things that look absolutely ridiculous, but they have such style to them, you know? So this isn't technically, I don't think this is technically a dingbat apartment, because what makes them a dingbat apartment is that they hang over the street. And I guess it kind of does, but it doesn't traditionally look the same as what you would find if you Googled that apartment style. So I would like say it's, I don't know, someone might come in the comments and be like, no, this is exactly what it is. But I'm hesitant to say that it is when it doesn't look exactly the same as what I've seen. So yeah, it's sort of like that. And yeah, so I built this just because I wanted to build something in like a LA setting, like a, you know, sort of, I don't know if you call it like a city, I guess a city, yeah, like an LA inspired city for like Del Sol Valley. And because I've had a few people ask me to make apartments, and I've been wanting to do residential style apartments for the save file, but I, like I said, have also been wanting to do something inspired by GTA, and I couldn't do my apartment in GTA, the one that I actually wanted to do, because I don't have the game installed and I couldn't find photos of it. I could only find footage of the interior, and I did base the interior styling off of my apartment in GTA, because this one had a very nice looking interior and I wanted to do something grungy, so it's quite grungy inside. It's quite run down, and I'm happy with how it came out, honestly. I only furnished one of the apartments because for rent is really broken, and I'm very aware of that, and I didn't want to be putting out a build that would have a lot of issues. I think if we keep the items pretty low with apartment buildings, we are maybe less likely to have a lot of problems with them, I hope. So there is clutter, it's still in my usual style, but it doesn't have a crazy amount of stuff happening in it. And as well as that, I've only furnished one of the apartments, both for the sake of keeping this video shorter, because I mean it's already an hour, and also because I want you guys to actually be able to play in it, and it's not going to make much of a difference if, you know, you're only playing in one of the apartments with one family and you don't need the other ones to be like fully decked out, because that's what I would do. If I downloaded like an apartment from someone, I wouldn't use the other apartments, and I'd probably just delete all the items in the other one just to keep my game running smoothly. So yeah, that's what I'm building today. And I didn't really have a set story for this because, like I said, this isn't for my save file. This was just done for fun. I would maybe like to do like maybe an LA. Well, I didn't, because in my save file plans I always intended on doing a city, but it wasn't supposed to be like an LA city. I did consider doing multiple, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of like items, you know, taking things and lots and space space being taken up. So yeah, I don't know, it's not for the save, it's just done for fun and to share something with you guys this week because I didn't feel like doing a residential for the save file, so I thought I'd put out an apartment. Like I said, because I've had a few people ask me to do apartments before, and though I want to do residential, this was just the easiest thing I could do, and because I've been wanting to do it for a while. So yeah, no set story, but I did have a few ideas for who could live here. I think I started out with the idea of there being 2 roommates, and that honestly might be the best thing to work with because it's 2 separate rooms. I didn't really design them for couples, honestly. I was thinking 2 single sims, but you could probably make it work with what is in here. I was also thinking specifically of 2 male sims, but of course, like, we're not assigning gender to rooms, so do whatever you want with that. But my thought process was very much like either 2 roommates or 2 siblings, and with the 2 siblings idea, I was thinking one of them lived here before the other one has kind of moved in and taken over their space and made the apartment a lot messier than the first sibling wanted. And I found these crutches, like custom content crutches, and I put them in the living room for some reason. Obviously right now we're still doing the exterior and sorting out the floor plan and stuff, but I put some crutches in, and I was thinking maybe one, like the sibling who first lived there has like a broken leg or something, and so they can't clean up after their incredibly messy sibling who's like trashing their apartment. Yeah, and I kind of wanted to go like a little bit mid-century modern. I'm not gonna like stick to that or say that explicitly though, because I don't think it came out super mid-century modern. It was just like I wanted like a twang of it, like a little bit drizzled on top. I didn't do anything crazy or super different, though I am really looking forward to when I get to do a mid-century modern house, because I have wanted to do one for so long. Someone on Tumblr is such a huge inspiration for me when it comes to mid-century modern houses. I think their URL is Moonwood Hollow. I might be wrong and have like a word wrong there, because some people have really similar URLs and it's hard to keep track of who is who sometimes. I just go by icon, I don't go by URLs. But their mid-century modern homes are so beautiful and so true to real life, and I never play in those styles of homes despite like really loving them. In real life I would never live in a house like that because it is not at all my style. I'm much more of a, I hate to say it like this, but it's the only way I can think to say it, I'm like grandma core, okay? I like vintage stuff, so how you see me decorate in The Sims does not at all reflect what I want my home to look like, because I love vintage items. I love a lot of almost like shabby chic floral, but maybe a little bit warmer. But I love mid-century modern in The Sims. I just don't play with it because modern doesn't always feel super cozy to me, but they have such an ability to make the spaces feel very cozy and homely, I guess. And so I've been wanting to do one for a while. It's just a matter of, I guess, facing my fear of building, which is what most of my builds are anyway. It's just me facing my fears and a lot of trial and error and experimentation. And it is weird to have people call me a builder because I don't think that I am one. But I guess I am. I don't know. Anyway, so with this build I also did the exterior first instead of doing the interior like as soon as I had the shell done, because I knew that in doing an apartment building it was going to be a whole thing where I have to make the exterior look good and correct and not totally messed up and weird, because I guess it matters more to me to have the apartment look good on the outside than it does with residentials, because I think with my residentials I can always go back to them. and fix them later, whereas an apartment would be too much of a commitment and I'd have to like redo the whole thing if I really didn't like it. So yeah, I did the exterior first, and I will say, like, with the floor planning, they're quite big apartments, and I can't really attest to the size of apartments in LA because I don't live there. And I also don't really see anyone ever talk about them online, like the sizes specifically, and you'll find small apartments anywhere. But can I just say that it is insane to me the amount of people who live in LA and I guess Brooklyn, New York, or just New York the city specifically, because the apartments, okay, in talking about New York, again off topic to the build, but in talking about New York, the apartments I see people talk about, they're so tiny, and I just can't help but wonder, like, if you're someone who wasn't born in New York and you decide to move there and live there, why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? Because the apartments I see are literally like the size of a bathroom, and I would love to recreate that in The Sims. I've seen a few people do that, and I'm just like, how do people actually like tolerate that? Like, willingly do it, not like a oh you were forced into it situation, where it's like unfortunate financial circumstances, or you were born there and you have no choice and you have to settle for what you can get. But like, you moved to New York knowing you're going to be living in a teeny tiny apartment. Like, are the opportunities that good there that you would do something? Because I have lived in really small spaces and really small rooms. I've lived in like a shed outside before in my life, and I just can't, I can't do it. I can't do it to myself anymore. I'm so done with it. It is like, I'm incredibly claustrophobic from those experiences, so the idea of willingly putting myself in a situation where I'm in a tiny space and I have no room to move and no room to like breathe or anything like that is like, makes me so upset just to think about it. Like, I can't, so it's not for me. But I don't know how people tolerate it, or even those people I see who are like, my 20 square foot apartment in Tokyo, I'm like, I would actually like, I couldn't do it. I can't. Like, I saw this girl in a really, really small apartment, and it was a very cute apartment, but she had 5 cats in that apartment with her. And I'm not, judging on that alone, but just like the idea of like, I have 2 birds, so they take up a lot of space because they have really big cages, of course. And cats don't need a cage, but even just then, I couldn't tolerate having 5 cats like crawling on top of me all the time. I can't even tolerate having 2 birds constantly all over me because I have Velcro birds. That would drive me up the wall. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I am one to talk because I am currently like in a very tiny space where I'm living right now, and it's not really comparable to an entire apartment being super small, but it's still very, how do people do it is my question. If you're someone who like lives in New York and has a tiny apartment, which chances of someone watching my video who's in that situation is very slim, but just in case, I wish the best for you, because that is my worst nightmare. But then for LA, if any of you live in LA, how's that going? It is riddled with influencers and celebrities, apparently. Why is that also the case? Like, this relates to the video, of course, because I'm making this LA inspired style apartment, I guess. I don't know. To me, it gave more Vegas. But apparently the city in GTA that this is based off of is LA. I think, is this San Andreas, or is this... I cannot for the life of me remember what it is in GTA 5 that they call the city. I don't think, is it San Andreas? I don't think it is. I think it's a different one. I think that was GTA 4. Nobody quote me on this because I don't remember. Anyway, why is LA the hotspot? I know it probably is because everyone started moving there, and then it became like a influencer hub because of connections. Like, if you're an influencer, you will move to LA because of connections and I guess job opportunities. But prior to all of that, why did that become the space? Is it just because they all started moving there all at once, or like, I have no idea. Just interesting that things work out that way. I guess in Australia, our LA would technically be Melbourne, which I don't get that, because can I just say Melbourne is not that special. Would anyone want to see Australian apartments, by the way? I actually can recommend Sincerely Summer, who has made multiple different Australian inspired apartment buildings, but they're more like suburban than they are like city, because our city apartments, I honestly don't even know, because I've never lived in an apartment. I've only ever lived in really horrible rental homes or like a farmhouse in Queensland, which is an Australian state for those of you who aren't familiar with our states. So I can't attest to apartment living, but Sincerely Summer has done some really great Australian inspired apartments for just like residential areas, so I can recommend that. But I couldn't tell you what an apartment would look like in Melbourne, so I can't compare to what I've done here today. Yeah, I'm using these counters by Lilith's Palace again. I think I used them in my last build. I love these counters. It is so hard to find counters that are kind of old looking and not super like, I guess, because people will make like kind of simple, ugly, shabby looking counters, but they don't look not, you know, there's a middle ground. I'm totally fumbling my words right now, but there's a middle ground between the two of making something look kind of while also having it look like an actual counter. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they just look like not what I want. I don't know, I'm not expressing myself very well at the moment, but for those of you who get what I'm on about, then you know, you get what I'm on about. But I do love these counters. I just wish that they didn't have the tiling on top. I have made a recolor that I just didn't share online because I'm scared of sharing I'm scared of sharing recolors, because I always think I'm gonna get like hunted down by the person who made the CC, because I have no experience in how to like give credit for that. I don't know what people want specifically. Some people will be like, it's okay to recolor, but they don't tell you how to give them credit. So I'm just like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you want from me? And yeah, so what was I saying about the people who live here? I think I said that I think they're brother and sister? No, I didn't. I said I think it's two male sims, didn't I? But yeah, like two roommates or brother and brother. I don't know. Like the gender doesn't matter. Literally, who cares? And so I did make it feel like they were very young, because I think that they would be. I think you guys could really like have a lot of fun playing in this apartment and playing into like two people who are like trying to make it big as stars, and I tried to make it feel maybe a little bit like they have a party house situation going on, not crazily, but I put in this little, and you see it on the floor now, it's like, it looks like an orange juice thing. I have no idea what it is, to be honest. I've never seen anything like that in my life, but it looks like almost like a keg. So I don't know, I was thinking this looks like something you could have as you could put alcohol in it and then, I don't know, do something with, I don't know, don't listen to me. I should have put actually a keg stand in here, but I didn't. And yeah, I definitely should have done that. This is completely off topic again, but have any of you tried playing with mods that allow you to do university life outside of the university world? Because I think it would be really fun to do that. I haven't tried it myself, but the Sims living here, I imagine one of them is in uni and the other one is probably like working freelance, so it could be like an older sibling, younger sibling situation, where maybe one of them was kicked out of home by like their parent and sent to live here with their older sibling because they had nowhere else to go, and now they're trashing their apartment. And I think one of them is a musician, probably the older one, like I said, and they have a cat because I also put in cat stuff. So yeah, have fun with that. Anyway, have any of you tried playing with university life? Is it called that? Did they call it university life? No, they didn't. Did they? I can't, honestly, I don't know anymore. In my head, I really do just refer to all the packs as what Sims 3 referred to them as. Like, I don't even, the Sims 4 werewolves, the Sims 4 vampires, the Sims 4 enchanted by nature and whatever. I don't care. Why are we doing all this? I don't care about this. It's the Sims 4 Supernatural, but like making me pay $200 for all of it. Yeah. Anyway, I think that could be fun to play, like make a university for Del Sol Valley, like I think like Victoria's Hollywood Arts, like a really eclectic university for your Sims to attend to like practice being an actor or a singer or something. Except of course, I don't think the Sims that live here could do that because I don't think they could afford to go to a Sims version of Hollywood Arts. By the way, I was very surprised that this build actually was like playable. When I was playtesting it, it was almost completely fine. I think I maybe had to change like one or two things, and the bathroom is always a difficult situation because I find that the toilet and the sink always interfere with the bathtub, and it's annoying because when you place things in bathrooms in The Sims, you can't seem to make them. I'm explaining this in the worst way possible, actually. Let me rephrase. The natural layout of like a real life bathroom is very different to what The Sims wants you to do sometimes, because usually everything is on the one side, right? Like you'd have the sink right next to the toilet, which is right next to the bath. Of course, that's what I see in houses on Pinterest. This is not my lived experience, because in my country, our toilets are in a different room to the bath, unless it is the master bathroom, in which case then they are in the same room. But in like a regular hallway bathroom, they're separate. So I did have to, I think, put the toilet a little bit in the wall, which is annoying. I hate having to do that. But I didn't want to change the layout of it because I actually liked how this bathroom came out. So I went with it. Yeah. Anyway, I do hope you guys like this apartment because I had a blast. I had a lot of fun doing it. Like I said, I was kind of trying to do a little bit of mid-century modern, just a twinge of it, because I felt like the apartment I was basing it on, once again, the one that I have in my own GTA game, if it had that vibe, it had that a little bit of that vibe to it, and it had like the almost 70s with like the brown wood wall. I only did that in this one room, but I probably should have done it in another one of the rooms, honestly. And I wish I had also kept that armchair in, because that is a really cute armchair. But I did not keep that armchair in there. And honestly, the reason that I say I imagine this being an apartment for 2 male Sims is just because I didn't put many feminine, I guess, influence in here. Once again, I don't think there needs to be any for a woman to be living here. I think that's a bit like, we don't need that. Okay, it can be what it is, and it is what it is. But normally I'd put in maybe a little something just to allude to it, especially if it's someone living in LA. I feel like that could be a fun opportunity to have maybe like a wannabe pop star, or I don't know, like a wannabe influencer who's moved out here because they've got their head a little bit too up their own and they think they're gonna make it big, but they're not. Yeah, I don't know. I should probably play in this myself and maybe do a fun little gameplay, because I've never played with Get Famous. I was never into that kind of thing. I did actually play with, I did really enjoy Showtime and Late Night in The Sims 3, because those were really, really good packs in The Sims 3. And actually, I've never mentioned this before, so fun fact, I did actually complete a legacy challenge in The Sims 3 when I was like 11 years old, and the last generation I played with, I think, was a Sim I had who was an acrobat. So I played with this, no, it was a musician. She was a musician. You know what, actually, I think I'm thinking of two different Sims. I think I had one Sim who was a musician, because it was the only time I'd ever played with The Sims 3 Showtime's concert feature. Have any of you played with Get Famous and played with like the singer career, I guess, and are there concerts? Because I've never played with it. Like, I have the pack installed on my computer, but I've never played with that feature, so I have no idea if concerts are a thing. My boyfriend plays The Sims 4 or like not really. Not really. He's not an avid player. He plays like for 2 days every 6 months and then never doesn't touch it again. Which he's so real for that, but it does drive me a little bit crazy. So he played with Get Famous a while ago with a sim, and I was very surprised to find that the actor career is actually an active career that you can play with. I did not know that it was an active career. I was shocked. But that does bring to mind how we don't have many professions in the game anymore. So we don't have like the daycare career, and the fact that we got businesses and hobbies tells me that we are not going to be getting the daycare profession at all, which makes me really upset because I loved the daycare profession in The Sims 3. But yeah, if anyone has played with Get Famous and knows any features about it that I don't know about, because there are so many features I don't know about in this game, because there are so many things that I have so little interest in playing with, and I just do the same stuff all over again. To be honest, I have been considering maybe doing a legacy, like classic sim style, so not in the style that I typically like to play my game, like just a classic Sims 4, mostly maxis match, and just play with the features in the game and see how much enjoyment I can get out of it without using too many mods, just to like challenge myself, and like I said, to also experience things in the game. But I think ultimately I would get bored, to be honest. I think I would ultimately end up being like, this is not that fun. Because I think The Sims 4 is kind of terrible without mods, and there will be people who will try and convince you that it's not, and that's fine because that's their opinion. But in the same breath, I have my own opinion, which is that The Sims 4 is really just not that good if you don't have mods in your game. Like even just a few gameplay mods improve everything so much. And before I got back into The Sims 4, like I want to say like maybe a year and a half ago, because I didn't really play it much because I didn't you know what, actually I think it was 2023 or 2022, late 2022 maybe, when I started playing again a lot more, because prior to that my computer couldn't handle it. But then I bought and built a computer. I didn't play with that many gameplay mods, and then I did, and it was just so much better, and I've been playing it ever since, because I don't know, I really do just think The Sims 4 is so boring. It's a very boring game, but you have to have a crazy imagination and be really able to, I don't know, completely invest yourself in it through just, I guess, loving your characters. If you don't love the characters you make in The Sims, I think it's really difficult to play. And I think that's why people like my boyfriend, who will be watching this video, by the way, I'm sorry to be outing you as like a bad Sims 4 player, but people like my boyfriend who struggle to stay consistent in playing the game because they ultimately end up just finding it boring. But you know what, it's not even really just The Sims 4 with him, it's also The Sims 3 and The Sims 2, because he downloaded and installed The Sims 2 and played it for maybe like 2 days and then didn't touch it again. And to be fair, I had the same experience. I think it's just too dated for me, and because I never played it as a kid, I couldn't get into it. But he wants to download and play The Sims 3 because I mentioned a few features about The Sims 3 to him the other day, and now he's like, I want to play it. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that. Like, okay, go on, do it, but I don't think you're gonna stick with it. But yeah, with The Sims 4, I think it's just he gets bored so quickly, and I think so many people have that experience with it, and that's why the whole stereotype about Sims 4 players is that we play once every 6 months and then don't touch the game for 3 years. And you know what, I think a lot of us do challenge that idea, because a lot of us are very overcommitted to the game, so we play pretty much all the time. And I think a lot of the time the people who are like in that demographic of playing every 6 months are either not like super, I think I'm gonna say this in a way that's gonna like upset someone, but they're either like not super into The Sims, or they aren't heavily involved in I guess creative storytelling, or like intense like modded gameplay, or they're not really involved on Tumblr. I think a lot of Tumblr players are very, very consistent in The Sims 4. Most people I see on Tumblr play The Sims or engage with The Sims in some way very consistently and very actively, and I think a big part of that is like encouragement from the community and seeing what other people are doing and having fun with storytelling and stuff. Whereas I think the people who tend to drop it very quickly or play very sporadically aren't super involved in that. And I think for me, that's what keeps me playing The Sims, is seeing what other people are doing and like just being involved in the wider community of The Sims 4. But I do consider going back to Sims 3 every now and then because I see how people play that game and it just looks, it is so much more fun. I don't know how to make my game look good. I haven't played The Sims 3 like consistently in like a really long time. Like it's been forever. I do occasionally open it to play with the the Gilbert family and Lucky Palms. I don't know why, but they just do it for me. Like I love that family so much. And I was thinking about putting them in my save file. But I don't know what purpose they would serve, honestly, so it would probably be a bit pointless to put them in there. But yeah, I don't know if anyone has any tips on how to, or like recommendations for how to get The Sims 3 optimized. I know there are a few YouTube videos on how to do it, and I tried doing that one method because someone made like a tool that makes The Sims 3 run smoother. I tried doing it, I didn't notice a difference. I also have a weird issue where my mouse rotation button is really slow in The Sims 3, and I don't know why or how to fix that, but it basically makes it unplayable for me. So yeah, I think then also the fact that The Sims 4 is still getting updates and still getting new content is the thing that keeps me here. But if it stopped, I don't know what that would mean for me or what it would mean for other people, because I think it's the same situation for a lot of people who continue to play the game, mostly because there's constantly new content. And we could argue that part of that is the overconsumption situation happening just in the greater world, where all of us, like, I don't know, kind of like games. I guess you could, what's the word they use? Do they call it a live game? Like games that get live updates, and you like Fortnite and Dead by Daylight, those kinds of games. We could say Sims 4 is in that category now because it basically is in that, you know, that group, even if it's a different kind of game. So yeah, I think that I think that's what keeps people playing as well. I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I think people keep playing because of overconsumption and the fact the game is still getting updates, and the fact that, you know, Sims 3 isn't getting updates anymore and the graphics are outdated, and Sims 2 isn't getting updates and the graphics are outdated. But the stark reality we're all staring down the head of is that we are not getting a Sims 5. I don't know what the Renee thing is. I have no idea. And to be honest with you, I wasn't excited about the idea of a Sims 5 because I know that even if we were getting one, it wouldn't be good, and it wouldn't be worth it to go from The Sims 4 to The Sims 5 and then suddenly have to lose all the content we've received over 10 years in The Sims 4 over another. I'll be like, how old will I be? If we got a Sims 5 and Sims 5 came out in like 2 years, I would be like 34 years old by the time we had like caught up to the point like where we had what we had in The Sims 4. And if The Sims 5 wasn't like better than The Sims 4, then it just wouldn't be worth it to me. And like, why would it be better, you know? And I didn't intend on going into the speed build and just like going on a huge tangent about the same things I always go on a tangent about. But I think I really have just kind of covered what is going on in the build, so I don't think there's much more for me to say. So I hope you all don't mind me going on a rant about this. But I'll add on to that with what was it I was gonna say? I think I was gonna say something about Project Renee. Oh yeah, like Project Renee, I guess, being marketed as, are they trying to make it a multiplayer game or something? Because I don't really understand what is happening with that game, but I know that EA wants to make a multiplayer Sims game, and I know this has been said before, but why would I want someone else there? Like, I do see the appeal behind it. I think most of the outrage for it comes from the fact that we are not getting another edition of The Sims that is a single player experience, like an updated edition that is single player, and EA is trying to give us or force multiplayer down everyone's throats when nobody asked for that. Nobody wants it. I do see the appeal. I think that could be really fun, and I do like the idea of it, but it's like they're doing a multiplayer mobile Sims game, and I'm just like, why? Like, I knew it was gonna be bad as soon as they announced that you could play it on mobile, because as soon as any game, I mean, well, this isn't necessarily true, but a game like The Sims being ported to mobile and accessible on mobile is not a good sign for how it is going to run. My phone should not be able to run if my phone can't run GTA, then my phone shouldn't be able to run The Sims, is my opinion. And that is another issue I have with EA, which is they're wanting to make the game accessible to people who have lower end PCs. And I, like, on one hand, yes, I think everyone should be able to play The Sims, and I'm not trying to gatekeep it from people who don't have good computers, but I want a fully optimized, realistic life simulator game, and if that means I have to sacrifice people who don't have an amazing computer, then I'm just gonna let it be. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I will have my solo experience on my mega computer, and everyone else can suffer. Because I just don't think we're ever going to reach the heights we want to reach with what we expect. Or we haven't, and we never will at this point, because, like, let's be realistic, Sims 4 is what it is, and you can't change that. But if we were getting a Sims 5, I wouldn't want it to be what EA has tried to do with the Sims 4, which is make it accessible to everyone, you know, including having limitations on worlds, limitations on items, limitations on everything, basically. And I mean, the game generally just doesn't run okay, like, at all. Like, I don't have issues playing really, like, beefy games on my computer, right? Like, I play Baldur's Gate 3, which is a massive game with open world features. Never dealt with any lag in that game whatsoever. But I play The Sims 4 and I'm lagging. Like, I'm sorry, if my mega computer can smoothly run Baldur's Gate 3 with mods, by the way, but can't run The Sims 4, then it's just an optimization problem in the game itself. Like, it's just an issue within the game. So even though EA tries to make it functional on lower end computers, it is still not doing that, because why am I still having issues then? Anyway, I don't know. So at this point in the build, we are finishing up with the first bedroom. This one, I think, is the bedroom of we'll say the older sibling, because I think we are going with the sibling narrative at this point. The older sibling. I put in like random, like, street stuff, like a street cone and a stop sign in this house. Honestly, I just did that for fun. I think actually because I was watching this YouTube video of Millie Alcock's home in Sydney, or was it on TikTok? It was on one of them, I don't know. And like, apparently her mother just like steals stuff off the street, like street signs and traffic cones and stuff. And I was like, that is so weird. Like, this woman's grown mother just does that. And some people do that stuff, and I'm like, how do you have the guts? Because I don't have the guts for that. I haven't stolen anything once in my life. In fact, one time I did accidentally forget to like scan some Mentos at the cash register, and I was scared the entire day that I was gonna get hunted down and found and taken to prison. And that isn't to say that I'm all for not committing crimes. I'm not gonna come on here though and say that we should all go out and commit crimes. I'm in support of people doing what they want to do, but I'm terrified of doing anything like that, because I'm scared of all types of authority, unfortunately. So yeah. Anyway, we're doing the other room, and I love this bed. Actually, I feel like I should say the bed in the first room doesn't function. There will be a note about that on the download page as well, because some people don't watch the full video and then they come on my comment section or my page and start asking me questions, and I'm like, I said that in the video. And not to sound I don't mean for that to sound super bitchy, but it is coming off that way, and we're gonna leave it at that. We're not gonna rescind that statement. I'm gonna leave it because those are my thoughts and feelings. Yeah. So this room, I went very just cluttered and dirty, just random stuff everywhere. Like, they've recently moved in. They're kind of, you know, grunge. I did want to lean more into I did want to go a little bit more grunge with it, but it didn't end up happening. And I think I end up putting in a sliding door so you can actually access the balcony from this room. So maybe it's supposed to be like a study, not like a second bedroom, even though it is, you know, the same size. So yeah, do with that what you will. I think I did try and change the bed in this first room as well, but I don't think I ended up doing anything different. I think I went with just like a regular, the same one that I did before, basically. Yeah. Also, not to, like, again, completely change the topic and start talking about entirely random things, but are you guys, like, seeing what's happening like in the news lately? Because I didn't want to bring this up, but you know what, I'm gonna talk about it anyway because I don't know what else to talk about at this point. We're almost done with the video. We've got like 15 minutes left, so I'm just gonna really quickly throw out some pop culture at everyone, my opinion on pop culture and things happening right now in the world. What on earth is going on with Jojo Siwa? What is happening? I will say, as a lesbian, I have never liked Jojo Siwa because I think that she has said many things that are incredibly lesbophobic. And some things I could like say now could be that I have been taken out of context and people have twisted her words. But from what I recall, there were multiple occasions where Jojo Siwa went out and said that she didn't like the word lesbian and that she thought it was like a dirty word, which just the connotations behind that are so frustrating to hear, and so irritating. Why must we continue to perpetuate that within the community? I think it's ridiculous, and she doesn't need to go out and say things like that. And then like, what on earth is happening now? I think in the conversations people are having about Jojo Siwa, so much of it is like acting like she's betrayed the gay community. She hasn't betrayed the gay community if she's coming out as bisexual. She has betrayed the lesbian community in the things she has said about us as a group and the way that she has referred to us. But, you know, she's free to change her identity or, you know, realize that she didn't align with whatever she aligned with once in the past. But, like, yeah, what isn't okay is the way that she's spoken about us. But she was saying that stuff well before she even decided, you know, before she even came out as bisexual and all that. My problem with this, my main problem with this that I will speak on isn't even related to like her sexuality, because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about Jojo Siwa. I don't care what she identifies as. And I thank God that nobody asks me about this, because I get so scared that people who know me as a lesbian are going to ask me what I think about Jojo Siwa, and I'm just going to be like, I don't care. But then again, I am the one who brought it up here. What I do care about, I will tell you, and some of you may relate to this, is that like constantly the narrative that I hear about like her cheating on her partner is basically people saying, oh, she's so young, she's figuring herself out. I am the same age as Jojo Siwa. I would like, I hate that people are, you know, excusing her actions with her age, like publicly cheating, not even just cheating, like publicly cheating on someone. And they're just being like, oh, it's because she's 21, 22 years old. I think Jojo Siwa and I are like maybe a couple months apart. She's maybe like 5 months younger than me. Nobody like caters to me. nobody caters to me in that way. I don't get to pull the I'm only 22 card because I'm 22. I'm a grown adult. Like, that's crazy that people say that. Yeah, I didn't mean to like come on here and start talking about JoJo Siwa. I've been seeing so much about it in the past few days, and I'm just like, what is happening with all of that? None of my business. At the end of the day, I don't really care. What I do care about, like I said, is people casting some weird age narrative about it, where it's like she's so young, she's just sorting herself out, and you know, let her be. Like, well, I'm not even interfering. I'm not interfering until you say that it's because she's 21. I don't think that we should be excusing her actions because she's 21. If she was 16, I'd be like, yeah, give her a break. She's 16 years old, but this is a 21-year-old person, or 22. I don't know her. I don't know if she's 21 or 22, but it's one or the other. Yeah, so I mean, good for her and all that. And I think I'm gonna leave you guys off here with that little note on me expressing rage at people comparing that. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the build and that you like using the build. This will be available for download. As usual, some CC will be included, some will be excluded. I will have a Google Doc list for you all, and if you have any questions, feel free to send over on my Tumblr. I'm not as good at answering comments because the notifications are terrible on YouTube and I don't always see them. I also hardly ever look at Patreon, so if you have questions, it is just better to access me on my Tumblr because I don't look at my Patreon, to be honest. I get flooded with stuff on there, I don't look at it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the build, and I will catch you all in the next one.